Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another vintage video. Today's video is funded by Big Pun, aka Big Pen, from my Discord. Kind of made a mistake with their username once, and it kind of stuck in a funny way. And they asked for some sort of D&T style deck of some nature, and I kind of tried to look around for something spicy, and I found this vintage Hatebears deck list. So, like Legacy, Death, and Taxes, it plays Hatebears like Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, and Spirit of the Labyrinth in order to kind of limit your opponent's plays and funnel them towards certain play pattern directions that their decks won't want to go towards. However, unlike those decks, it also has a stronger beatdown option. Unlike Legacy, Vintage doesn't have that much removal. And a lot of times the removal that's there is stuff like Pyroblasts that don't actually hit a lot of creature types. Because like you're really trying to hedge against the power of the blue decks, which are incredibly dominant in the format because, Ancestral and Time Walk and such are just so strong. So in this format, Luminarch Aspirant is absolutely amazing because it lets you scale up these hate bears, oftentimes getting them out of the range of a critical spell, like say a lightning bolt, and allowing you to keep up with the larger creatures in decks like say shops or maybe one of the bizarre decks where you have to worry about hollow ones or vengevines or something like that. And another kind of interesting thing about this deck list is even though this deck plays artifact mana, it does play things that are extremely hateful to artifacts themselves. Now, historically, this deck has been a deck that has struggled with shop type decks, but tends to be pretty good against blue decks. Because in addition to like the Thalia and Spirit of the Labyrinth decks, like you also have other hate bear options. And if your Doomsday opponent can't go and search their library, they're not going to have a good time, right? And if they can't search their library, then all of a sudden cards like Ghost Quarter become actual factual strip mines. And, well, you only get to play one of these in Vintage, is all I'm saying. Noticeably absent from this deck list is Archon of Emeria, because this is a Lurrus of the Dream Den deck. And this card has absolutely proven itself, even with the 3 mana tax. It used to be that you could just play these directly from your sideboard, but now, like even with the 3 mana tax, it's still pretty playable. And most of our sideboard here is targeted hate, mostly for graveyard. Absolutely unfair combo deck lists, your Storm deck list, your Doomsday deck list, those sorts of things, and then your various artifact-based decks. I don't have too much to say here. We are going to turn a bunch of roughly 2/1 creatures sideways and see how the league goes. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you enjoy the content, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before the video begins. This is especially important for the vintage content, which a lot of my viewers don't watch. Let's battle. I have a weird opening hand here. I am kind of good in terms of mana. I can't make white white. I have a powerful scaling threat, but not a hate bear that is good against things other than artifact decks. So if our opponent is playing something like shops, this hand is a huge win, and if they're not, this one's rough. I think I'm just gonna ship this one because I think I end up with a lot of similar hands. Yeah. Go to 5. I think I go to 5. I think I keep this one. So the Cathar Commando is going to go back here and 1 Wasteland, keep the Ghost Quarter as a potential strip mine. This is less aggressive than hand 1, but more hateful than hand 1. All right. So this is a little underwhelming as far as a vintage power level start goes. Like this is a legacy power level start that happens to have a mental misstep. So we'll see if I do get to do cool things with Leon and Arbiter. I hope the answer is yes, but this is probably a big turn for my opponent. I am going to just mental misstep anything here. Just anything to slow my opponent down. Oh, yeah, okay. You've got your Flusterstorm. I will not be paying for that. And now, like, my question is going to be, like, do I just play Arbiter, Wasteland, or do I go ahead and just Wasteland my opponent? I think my opponent is playing Doomsday or a Doomsday-esque deck, so like having Arbiter in play is pretty strong. Yeah, I think I'm going to play Arbiter this turn and then go for the double Wasteland play next turn. Savaged! Not be paying. Although I did set my opponent back a land drop with my actions, so like there is that. But I'm 100% reliant on my top decks from here to do good things. Yeah, that's bad. I can get like Lotus or Doomsday. Am I dead now? No, it does not look like I am dead now. So I took a second to check some Doomsday lists, and it looks like they do have basics. So I don't think a Wasteland, or sorry, I don't think a Ghost Quarter is just an absolute land destruction spell here. Ooh, maybe I should have left Ghost Quarter up for shuffle-based reasons, though. I would buy that. I'm going to go ahead and take my attack for 2. My opponent to 15. Throw out a Wasteland. Well, my opponent almost certainly can win this turn by casting a Doomsday. Like, they Demonic Tutored last turn. Oh, they just got Ancestral. Well, okay, like, maybe not, but, like, they just played Ancestral, so. Sure, that's fine. Uh-huh. Am I dead? Treasure Cruise. Alright, opponent is drawing a lot of cards. Am I wrong about them being Doomsday? Okay, there's a Preordain. Got one bottom, one top, and I'm not dead yet. Yeah, I mean, I'll take every little thing I can get here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just attack in for as much damage as I can right now, rather than protect my cards. It's not like I have something like a Thalia or a Spirit of the Labyrinth in play that is just absolutely devastating. I'll just go ahead and take this damage and attempt Kataki, which just taxes for 1 mana. It essentially just shuts off the Sapphire, and then I'll hold up this Ghost Quarter for if my opponent is Doomsday and I can force a shuffle. Okay, they're just not even going to pay to keep it. Maybe for, like, Treasure Cruise-based reasons. Okay, here we go. Alright, there is the Doomsday. Alright, Ghost Quarter is a May in terms of searching. It is not an obligatory search like some of the others. Alright, opponent drops to 5. Let's see if I can fuck him up. Let's try to destroy that. It all seems pretty easy here. At this point, I'll just F6. There's a Gush. The piles in Vintage get a lot easier when you have access to, like, Gush, Black Lotus, Gataxian Probe, Ancestral. And there is the Thassa's Oracle for the win. Yeah, we just kind of had the wrong portion of the deck here. Now we know what to mulligan for. Deafening Silence is reasonable. Archive Trap is pretty good. You can, like, use it to really fuck up your opponent's Doomsday piles. Stony Silence to shut off Lotus is, like, reasonable, but probably pretty medium. Let's see how many cards I want to cut. I do not want my Path to Exiles here. That gets me most of these cards in. From here, Cathar Commando and Relic Warder are both kind of eh. They can be interesting to take out artifact mana, but Cathar Commando in particular is kind of expensive as a way to deal with artifact mana. I might go ahead and cut both of those. It's not white, which is its big upside over Relic Warder, but Relic Warder is so much better as a way to take out played out artifact mana. I play like one of these just to fill the deck list here. Shutting off Lotus is cool. Makes some of the lines harder, but it doesn't make them significantly harder. I think this is one of those times where, like, I'd be okay drawing it, but it's, like, not a central portion of the game plan. This has no white mana. This has got to go. This has the right sort of cards, but is a little slow. I think I am going to keep this. I think I have to keep my mana, unfortunately, and either Aspirant or Stony Silence is going to go back. Neither is fantastic. I think I'm going to keep Maximum Hate here and toss back the Aspirant. And we'll just go Plains Pass. Keeping my 3 lands means that, like, I can use Lurrus to bring back Arbiter if it gets countered. And I think I'll probably go aggro on Mental Misstep given the opportunity to. Ah. We're going to try to counter an upkeep Ancestral. There it is. Here's my misstep. We'll see if my opponent counters. Oh my god, what a draw. That's so good. So I'm going to go ahead and wasteland my opponent's Underground Sea. Then play Mox. Now my opponent can't daze me. And I get to play Arbiter, shutting off Searching. Nice. Okay. That felt good. And if opponent oh, nice. And if opponent plays out Artifact mana, I will drop Stony Silence. That's not something that I need to do immediately, because I can just, like, drop a Lurrus next turn. And, like, I happen to draw another piece of Artifact mana. So let's get my Lurrus in play, and then I will be comfortable looping Stony Silence into play. Well, maybe not now. All right, I will pay for this. Yes. Maybe now. So let's go ahead and get my attack for 2 in. Like so. And just go ahead and increase my clock. Okay, this is good enough for a Force of Will. Now I will almost certainly play Stony Silence. Look at this little cat. Look at all that heavy lifting he's doing. Fantastic. Oh, nice. Yeah, things are about to get pretty hateful. So I'll crack in for 2. This constricts my mana, but takes away a lot of my opponent's better lines, so I think I'm good with it still. And then I'll drop Deafening Silence. And since I do not have 3-drops in my deck other than the Lurrus itself, I can still play whatever card I top deck here, despite the Tabernacle tax. Alright. Don't need to win the game quickly if my opponent can't win through the hate that I have, right? Like, this is absolutely fine. Yeah, opponent is just gonna pass the turn again. This is dirty. Absolutely digging this. And I'll just continue to go on the beatdown plan. 5 more of these, or rather 4 more of these, and my opponent is just dead. This is the little cat that could. Alright. Well, like, maybe we can stop drawing planes. There's not that many of them in the deck. Like, the deck is a little light on white sources since it's trying to squeeze in, like, Wastelands and Ghost Quarters and all that jazz. Yeah, we have reached the opponent is manually discarding stage of the game. Nice. So I'll go ahead and bash in for 2. My opponents have 4, and then I have to figure out what to wasteland. I don't think the Tabernacle bothers me. I think I just take out a fetch land for if opponent randomly finds a way to break through. I can do that in their upkeep though. Actually, they're not going to be playing like an Ancient Tomb or anything. I can probably just chill with this in play. And then if they naturally, draw an Underground Sea or whatever, I'm just okay. Yeah, so I can consider playing a couple more Stony Silence on the draw to just increase my hate density a little bit. But it's kind of whatever. Like, Stony Silence is not an all-star here. It stops some of the Lotus-based lines, which are admittedly good lines, but I'm looking to stick preferably a turn 1, like Arbiter, Spirit, or Thalia, and maybe also back it up with something. Deafening Silence also great. I think on the draw, I'm going to just make it a little easier to stick a hate card just by making my mana better. Yeah, and this is what I mean about the mana being a little rough for a monocolored deck. Like, this has all the right cards, but not the mana to cast them. It's clocks like hell. And Mox Pearl is literally the best card in the deck. I think I keep this and pitch the Ghost Quarter. And hope that I can just wasteland my opponent on turn 1. If they just play fetch and pass, the hand becomes a little awkward. I don't really want to show Wasteland here. I'm going to go ahead and play Caracas, Mox Pearl, and drop the Aspirant. And then hope that my opponent doesn't go off on turn 2 so that I can Wasteland them. Top decking a Hatebear would be cool. Alright. Are we in Things Are Scary time yet? I am hoping the answer is no. But it very much might be. Okay. That's good. That's scary. Let's see if opponent can just go off this turn. Like, I'm really hoping they have to pass the turn. And the reason I played Caracas rather than Wasteland last turn was so that I would incentivize my opponent to fetch non-basics. Because they're like the random list that I looked at had 2 islands. Okay. If that's a fair Black Lotus, I don't mind that. It turns into like Demonic Consultation is legal in this format, right? Like if it turns into like Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation or something, I wouldn't like that. Second mana, dig through time. Oh, that shit's here too, huh? Okay. Fuck me. Absolutely was not prepared for that. This kind of prepares for it. Kind of. So, play a Mother of Runes. My opponent has me on a 3-turn clock. I don't attack this turn. If I don't wasteland my opponent, attack for 5, then attack for 7. Actually, a little more than that if my opponent attacks with Murktide Regent. I think I might need to not wasteland my opponent so that I can keep up with clocking them, which is awkward. I am absolutely supposed to be the beatdown deck, and now I'm trying to hold back my mana. Probably have to wasteland the Tabernacle so I don't play that tax, and so that I can continue to do other things. It's just like not a great position for me. Like opponent can put on the brakes if they feel like they need to put on the brakes. All right, I dropped to 13, and I'm going to wasteland the Tabernacle because that just frees up more of my mana. All right, this is not what I am looking for. Lurrus doesn't really help me here. So this is going to be another Luminarch Aspirant. Will wasteland one of my opponent's open underground seas here, I think. It will go to combat. I'll go ahead and stack one of these up, so potentially it can beat out a Murktide Regent. And I think I am in a every point of damage matters situation. I'll crash in with both creatures. Oh no. Opponent just has like a Fatal Push type card. That's very awkward for me. Yeah, absolutely punished. I believe I now have no outs to that. Murktide Regent. That is an insane sideboard option, or maybe it's main deck. Who knows? I haven't followed Vintage that closely recently, but I was not ready for this. Like, I was very ready to like try to aggro through a Doomsday, but yeah, brutal. GG's. Okay, so we have another one of these no white source hands. So that is an auto mulligan. I like this hand a lot. I think I am going to get rid of my white card here and just like not have to deal with that. And fingers crossed that we're playing against a deck where the sorts of taxation effects that I have are good. Oh, that is a Force of Negation pitching Sphinx of the Steel Wind. So we know we are playing against a Tinker deck list of some kind. And we'll see what we figure out from there. I am not sure which of my cards to play here. I think I am going to play out the Arbiter because I have double Ghost Quarter. And like this also forces a fetch now. All right, for a Volk. Don't Lightning Bolt my cat. That's 2 mana. It's not a Lightning Bolt, it's an Abrade. The Thalia would have played around Abrade better. I don't think that's ever something I would have actively thought of to do. Oh, it's a Dash Ragavan. Sure. That's pretty good in the short term, but like not an actual problem in the long term. Like a Thalia sitting on board, for example, just solves that problem. So let's attempt to stick that. And then as of like another turn or two from now, we'll start doing Luminarch Aspirant shenanigans. Yeah, there's playing out Ragavan. Do I just want to answer that forever? Not yet. I'm a little tight on mana. And I'd rather just get this scaling up, because this is another thing that will just beat Ragavan over time. So I'm just going to start working on turning this into a 3-3. And I'm not going to take any attacks here. Like, I just want to make sure that I don't lose to getting buried by that Ragavan. Yeah, top is fine. Like, very much good with opponent using resources for that sort of thing right now. Okay, so this is mana neutral. We'll go ahead and play that out. We'll go ahead and pick up another Luminarch Aspirant. Now things are going to get silly. So this is going to become a 3-3 that beats Ragavan. This is going to become a 4-4 that gets out of a Braid range. And I think I've become the beatdown. Possible I should just chill for another turn. But like this is 6 damage that scales up pretty quickly. I think I'm good with this. Like I can take a hit from the Ragavan, then Path to Exile it, and be very happy with where I'm at. Yeah, spin your top. I also could like straight up just like trade with the Ragavan with this Luminarch Aspirant and just still have 6 power on board. And just like try to leave opponent stuck on mana. I think I'm good with that. It uses my Path to Exile worse, but feels fine. This is a 2-turn clock as is. Yeah, nice. So I don't actually know exactly what my opponent is playing. Like it's got Ragavan, it's got Tinker. That's what I know. I'm probably roughly pre-boarded for this deck. I don't have more removal to bring in for Ragavan. Don't want any of these 7 cards. Containment Priest and Deafening Silence are things that I can think about, but Like, the issue with Containment Priest is that it doesn't fully stop a Tinker. It stops a Tinker for, like, a Sphinx of the Steelwind, but not one for, like, Bolas's Citadel or something. I could play one more Deafening Silence, but I don't know that I want to drop a body against a deck that is going to have, like, maybe a Braid, Lightning Bolt, Swords of Plowshares, those sorts of cards. Okay, this is just another one of those hands that I have to mulligan due to mana. You'll notice that I'm not getting like upset or frustrated by these. This is one of the things that you just have to accept if you want to play a deck like this in Vintage. Relic Warder can be neat in some situations, but it is my only non-castable card. I think I'm just going to bin it still. Like, this deck is absolutely built to abuse the fact that you can play Moxen, and it's trying to keep a high density of, like, essentially, like, you want Hatebears, you want mana, but you want to get a lot of value out of your lands, because you have to keep up with, like, the Bazaar decks and other things of that nature. Alright. So let's play Mox Jet. It looks like my stuff is just going to resolve here, so I am just going to slam a Thalia. Oh, no, okay. Since I have the second one, I don't mind, and I'm playing towards drawing another white source, so I can just play, like, Thalia into Spirit in one turn. That's kind of a hope here. Ooh. That's legit. Kataki is kind of awkward there. I think I just play Spirit, though. I guess I should also technically attack first here. My opponent is showing open mana. All right, there goes Thalia. Get in for my damage. And then I think I'll drop the Spirit. Okay, it's resolved. I have powerful cards in play, but, like, my opponent can just Tinker. So, you know. That's a thing. Okay. Nice. Let's attempt to crash in and see if anything happens. The nice thing is that, like, my creatures are very much replaceable here. Like, I have an additional copy of both of them. Alright. Send them on in. See if something scary happens. Nothing scary happens. Interesting. Aki? Axe this Lotus? Or play an additional copy of play an additional copy of Spirit of the Labyrinth so that my opponent can't remove it and then do something broken. I think I want the redundancy. It's really awkward if my opponent has some sort of electrickery type card that will wipe my board. I'm not really expecting that, but it's real awkward if that happens. Triple red off Lotus. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah. Vintage All-Star Fire Spout doing some work over there. Dash Ragavan. Yeah, sure. That's fine. I hope to draw a mana source so that I can play both Kataki and Thalia. That would be pretty good for me. They could Path to Exile their own Ragavan if they wanted. They do not want. That's nice. So I think I am going to play my Kataki while holding up Path to Exile, and then attempt to Path to Exile the Ragavan. And this just, like, destroys my opponent's treasure and makes their Mox Pearl worse. Oh, okay. They are going to pay for both. I guess that's fine. See where this goes. I need an adult. Yeah, that's just a played out Ragavan. That's fine. And let's attempt to get rid of that. Okay, it is gone. And it was gone fast at that. I'll pay for the jet with itself. Crash in for 2 damage. Put my opponent to 9. The ruby will pay for itself, so I'm fine playing this out. It's just, like, more awkward to play it out once a Thalia is in play. I have okay taxation effects going on, but I am just expecting my opponent to, like, tinker for a Sphinx of the Steel Wind or something, and it's awkward. I don't know, like, maybe I'm not supposed to just Path to Exile the Ragavan. Sphinx of the Steel Wind protection from white. I legit don't remember what colors it has protection from. It has been a hot minute. Yeah, I probably messed that up, assuming the Sphinx isn't protection from white. I just don't remember. Oh, going for Bolas's Citadel, sure. Alright. The Dak Faden. That's fine. Okay, there's a fetch to clear the top of the library for Bolas's Citadel. There's a Ragavan off the top. Okay, so they're going to go ahead and loot 2, clear the top again. Oh, they must have had the Sphinx. They had the Sphinx in hand. Okay, it is protection from red and green. I will go ahead and pay for both of my moxen with themselves here. And I think I just go ahead and send both of these at my opponent and force the trade for Ragavan. And at your life total here. Yeah, it was super lucky for me that they had the Sphinx. Alright, so they're going to go to 2. I am going to play out an Arbiter. And now that my mana is freed up, I can look at putting this Lurrus into my hand, returning Spirit of the Labyrinth. Well, that's, like, mostly good, you know? Guarded Urza Saga and Force of Will. Alright, playing another Urza Saga. Oh, this feels like a Treasure Cruise type card. Taking them a little while to cast. Yeah, it is indeed Treasure Cruise. Lightning Bolting! We are Lightning Bolting the Thalia. 3 mana, Narset, that's fine. This is lethal. Opponent needs to find another Lightning Bolt, or they are dead. They found an Abrade. Oh, they have the Mox Jet for it. Sure. Okay, that keeps them alive. And then their Urza Saga will do some work. Oh, fuck, this is not going to work out well for me. This combination is not going to work out well for me. I just fucked up. Supposed to hold that until 6 mana. Yeah, so with Narset in play, my opponent can Dak target me. I can draw 1 card because of Narset's ability, and then I discard 2 cards. I was a little sloppy on my hand putting that into my hand. I think the tide has turned on this one anyway. Manifold Key. You have the Time Bolt? No, but a Dash Ragavan is respectable. Oh, they did not do it targeting me, though. I guess that's a thing. Narset finds Ancestral. Pretty legit. And I can basically die to a Time Walk here if my opponent has it in hand. They found a Kataki. And a Time Walk, yeah. That's really disgusting. So I'll go ahead and F6 here. But my opponent makes another construct. There it is. You get to search up something. I don't know, like a Sensei's Divining Top or something like that. Oh, they're just getting mana. Sure. Okay, what was that? Activate. Oh, they just took my Mox. Sure. I'm taking 7 as of right now. Just pay for the probe because the 2 life is not reasonable currently. Alright, I take 7. How many non-land permanents does my opponent have, by the way? 1 in the sack itself. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yikes. So I think I'm basically donezo. Go ahead and cast a Mother of Runes here. There's some rare worlds where I can force a Lurrus through for the last couple of points of damage, and this just gives me a blocker versus these construct tokens. But, like, my opponent can just play any one permanent and then activate Bolas's Citadel to kill me. Alright, it's resolved. Uh-oh. My opponent is doing a thing, and I don't like it. Literally, whatever it is bad for me. Yeah. So I'm not technically dead here, but I don't see a world in which I come back from the current situation. 2 mana, dash Ragavan. That just puts, or no, that doesn't technically put me over the edge, but actually the Bolas's Citadel activation just kills me now. Cause, oh, no, can't math. All right. So I now know that my opponent has Vault Key, and I know that my opponent has Urza's Sagas. Stony Silence becomes a little more attractive, given that information. I still don't think it's a fantastic card. I don't really think Deafening Silence is insane either. Like, it's fine, but it's not more than fine. I'm just kind of generally okay with my cards. Like, I can make a small adjustment in one direction or another, but I don't know that I need to. This is a slow hand. It does not have artifact mana, but it is a hand that will have protection. So I think I'm good with that. Like, this is just a legacy hand. All right, let's play out the Mother of Runes, call it a turn. All right, it has worked. Mox is very good for my opponent, but my mom lived, so that's nice. THALIA or Arbiter. I'm gonna play Arbiter. Just like work on not getting tinkered. So my opponent 100% has to respond to this in some way by at least fetching, which they will do. See if there's a follow-up counter spell. There's the follow-up Ancestral. But then it did resolve. I will just be holding my mom back here. Like, I have an actual valuable card to protect now. And then I can work on supplementing my mana denial plan with some of the other stuff that's here. Alright, so always casting this. I unfortunately do not have triple white, which is something that I would like with this hand. I think I'm going to play Thalia before I show Wasteland, question mark. That seems good to me. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and bash in for 2. And I'll Wasteland my opponent as soon as they make a move with this fetch land, because I assume they're going to pay 2 mana and fetch. The Braid targeting the Arbiter. That's not where I thought that was going. So I'll go ahead and stop that. I'll give Pro Red. And then I'll go ahead and Wasteland this. Like, if they Fire Spout, they Fire Spout. 2 mana. Okay, they are just paying to fetch. That's fine. Alright, there's another 2 mana. Pithing Needle. Name Abandoned Hope. Name Mother of Runes. Sure. I need to look up Fire Spout. So it's the red mana that's required. Okay. So, I will now go ahead and play a Leon Relic Warder. I will exile that Pithing Needle so that I can protect from Fire Spout. Then I don't actually want to play Aspirant here, because Fire Spout does 3. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and bash in with these creatures. Alright, my opponent takes 4 total damage, and we'll call it a turn. So I have the ability to protect from single target removal spells. I have the ability to save whatever I value as my most important creature from Fire Spout. I also just have a 2-turn clock. Alright, 4 different colors of mana. Alright, there is the Fire Spout. I feel like my opponent has been fighting over the Arbiter, so I'm going to go ahead. I protect my cat. Let's name red here. And this is all kind of fine, because like I just have Lurrus to bring back these taxing effects as well. Kind of hoping to draw a land, but like a lot of my draws in my deck are good right now, because like lands are good. Oh, that's great. So let's play a pre-combat Luminarch Aspirant, so I can turn this into a 3/3. Yeah. Dash in for 3, and then as of next turn, that will be out of a Braid range. Alright, my opponent just sat there for like 5 minutes. I read a bunch of Reddit headlines. Alright. Let's see what they can do. So I have 3, 6, 7, and 8th damage from Luminarch Aspirant next turn, so if my opponent does fetch, I have theoretical lethal damage. Okay, there is the fetch. Grabbing a Volk. I get to ignore that effect, that's fine. If one of their last 2 cards is a Tinker. It is a Demonic Tutor, which unfortunately does find Tinker. So they're going to get a Sphinx of the Steel Wind. Oh, it's another Fire Spout. Okay. I mean, also annoying, but like I'm not dead. Is it better to get Lurrus and play it next turn, or is it better to just like put a Luminarch Aspirant into play and just try to beat my opponent? Luminarch Aspirant attacks for 3 and then 4. It's a 2-turn clock. Seems better. Alright. Luminarch Aspirant, better than Lurrus, confirmed. So, like, opponent had 1 card left, plus whatever they drew for a turn. Alright, my opponent is casting a Dig Through Time. So we'll see where my opponent can go with this. Sure, that's fine. Chunking two relatively dead cards. The Urza Saga is quite good. Alright. Throw this. I'm just gonna hit my opponent in the face here. Put them to 4. How good is Arbiter? What is my plan for winning this game? So my opponent will have a 1, 2, 3, 4. Opponent will have at least a 5/5 token, so it takes a little while to scale this up. I think I want to be able to put a second Luminarch Aspirant into play. Like, I think that's how I'm beating the Urza Saga tokens. It means ignoring some of my opponent's scariest cards like Tinker, but, like, they have the 2 extra mana very easily. I think Flusterstorm? I'm so confused. My opponent just discarded it. Sure. Have Time Walk? Sure. Alright. My opponent may be in the, like, I fucked up and I'm wasting too much clock zone, where they just are clicking on random cards. And that's okay if that's the case, but it's 100% their fault. Like, they have been AFK or doing something else. Starting in Urza Saga and a Force of Will. Sure, I will take 7 here. So they discarded a Force of Will, very notably, which is an insane card at stopping this Lurrus. I see they just have another. That is unfortunate. That means I have to chump block with this. I think I'm going to lose here, which is super unfortunate because, like, I don't think my opponent played well. Like, clock stuff aside, I think they just had better lines that I saw that beat me. Like, maybe they had some of the exact cards that I was talking about in hand or something that, like, stopped some of those lines, but it just seemed to me like they could have done things in an easier way. Sure, Narset is good. Sure. They also, like, have just, like, made it so that they don't have lethal constructs right now. I'm gonna let that happen. I'm gonna mental misstep the top, I think, if that happens. Yep. Okay, now they have lethal constructs again. That's fine, I guess. I'm still in chump block mode. Yep. Alright, so I'll take my chump block. Yeah, I really needed my Lurrus to resolve. I can play out a Cathar Commando, like, block one of these, and then sacrifice and kill the other. Sort of humorously, because I did not counter the Manifold Key. If my opponent sees it, they can just make their creature unblockable, and I cannot beat that. Okay, they've gotten a braid. That means that I am deterministically dead. I will concede. Such is life. Okay. I'm going to keep a medium power level hand. It has uncounterable Mom into Thalia with Wasteland backup. But again, this is like a legacy power level hand, not a vintage power level hand. Let's draw that Lotus sometime, though. Huh? The Lotus hands that this deck are capable of are just absolutely insane. Cavern on human. Play a human. Call it a turn. This hand will not be great against a bunch of turn 1 artifact mana that just kind of accelerates my opponent past the point where a Thalia matters. And I really didn't expect to play against, like, a multiple Fire Spout deck, but here we are. Vintage has changed a little bit since the last time I jammed games. Alright. What are we facing down? A Deathrite Shaman deck? Forest. Jet. It was like some sort of, like, Collector Oov, Deathrite Shaman, Leovold type pile. I don't like that. I don't know what it gets, but I know I don't like it. I also know that until I have more information about what my opponent's doing, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Remember when I said we wouldn't be great against artifact mana? Am I just gonna get tinkered on turn 1? Oh. Yeah, that's so fine. Yeah. Oh my god. I went from, like, having a heart attack to, like, no, this is, like, not even broken. Like, the JVP will flip, like, next turn when my opponent loots. So, like, that's still good, but I'm not just, like, dead, which is pretty huge. So this Thalia is a little awkward in that, like, now I can't mental misstep, but given that my opponent has the ability to, like, play cards, or sorry, I should say instants and sorceries from their graveyard, like, taxing this seems like a huge deal. And then we'll kind of see how things progress. They don't have blue mana showing currently, just throwing that out there. I mean, like, I'm going to try to cancel that. You have a removal spell, you have a removal spell, but I think I just need to attempt that. Sure. A nice wasteland target for me. And that is annoying. That means, like, this wasteland lost a bunch of potency. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it didn't. What is most important here? Denying my opponent a card or denying the search? Probably denying the card. This is resolving because of Thalia. This says each player can't draw more than one card each turn. So I actually want to wasteland my opponent on their turn. And since my opponent has a blocker and I do have to worry about removal spells on my creatures, I'm not going to make an attack for 2 on the Planeswalker this turn. So my opponent will get to draw their card here. I've successfully destroyed the land, and then they are prevented from drawing their card for turn. I can technically choose to do that in their draw step as well, but then they have another card in hand prior to floating the mana for destroying the Underground Sea. Also does take them off of blue mana. Right. They're going to need to make another land drop to cast that Demonic Tutor. I have a Thalia in play. You fucked up? Oh, that is such a huge punt, because that means that I can now Mom, protection from some color, Spirit in, kill that Jace, and then you're stuck on mana. Oh, no. That's bad. That's bad. Oh! If this is a Fatal Push bait, this is a fantastic Fatal Push bait. I have Mental Misstep. So, yeah. Alright, let's target Spirit of the Labyrinth here. Protection from black. Attack this in on Jace. The Jace is dead. Let's play out a Ghost Quarter. Let's play out a Leonin Arbiter. And at any moment when my opponent does not have 2 mana available, I will Ghost Quarter and destroy this forest. But I also want to leave Mental Misstep up. Oh, gosh, that's so good. Alright. I think I just attack in with all 3 of my creatures and protect whichever one Leovold blocks. I think this is fine, specifically since Mental Misstep is held up. Otherwise, I wouldn't do this. Send them. I block on the Thalia. And protect Thalia from black. Get 5 damage in. Play Kataki. And now this is disgusting. The opponent will pay for their Mox. They will not pay for their Mox, in which case they are getting Ghost Quartered while they don't have 2 mana up. Like, you can take an extra card, but, like, your land is gone. Yep. I still have protection from a 1-drop. Seems disgusting. Alright, so we'll go to combat. And we'll repeat the same thing as before, just holding back the Mother of Runes. Yeah, opponent's little punt with Jace was just, like, had insane ripples on the rest of this game. It let me take that Planeswalker off the board, and then, like, a lot of things from there were just costly. Throw Lurrus to hand. We still have Mental Misstep up. There's a Thalia tax in play. There's an Arbiter in play. I believe this is a no-out situation for opponent. Like, they've already used the Lotus. That was disgusting. Yeah, let's continue the game as is. Kind of a mediocre hand here. Like, the hand becomes quite good with a human, specifically human Hatebear draw, but this is a dead card. This is not true white mana. Despite the fact that I have double moxen here, I'm not sure that this is a keep. Like, this is a Mother of Runes Luminarch Aspirant hand that hopes to draw into other stuff. The Lurrus is attractive because of how much extra mana I have. But I'm not sure that this is better than just hands that have Hatebears. Oh god, a Mox Pearl hand. Fuck yeah. Absolute keep. Pearl, Sapphire, Arbiter, Ghost Quarter on turn 1. I think I actually throw back the Mother of Runes with this hand. Yeah, I think so. Alright, opponent. Don't look at my hand. Okay. I don't want you to know what's coming. I just want it to happen. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, this is so much mana. Alright. The shame I don't have more white sources here. That is what it is. Tempt the Arbiter. Good. That was very important. Now, this Deathrite Shaman is going to have food for days. Let's be clear about that. But I have a decent mana denial plan started, and especially if I draw a white source, these things are going to scale up incredibly quickly. Alright. There's a mana. Damn it. Why? Like, legitimately why, though? I guess I should technically attack first. Like, is my deck actually good right now? This is, like... I saw multiple Fire Spouts last round, and Bread of Night this round. Like, surely this isn't for me, right? Okay, that's good enough to get a Force of Will. I can eventually bring that back with a Lurrus. I'm not really there yet. Okay. Oh, Time Walk is great. Yeah, take your 1 point of chip damage. That's absolutely fine. Just attack. Oh, that was... Okay, never mind. Wish I had another white. I can't attack with my 1/1. I can't play this. These die immediately. Once I get another white, I can take this or this out. So this is just going to be throw Lurrus to hand and work towards second Arbiter situation. Okay, opponent doesn't have anything else to do. So we're going to stare at each other for a little while. Okay, yeah, weird situation. Getting rid of this is good. I don't think it's better than playing Lurrus and going towards second Leonin Arbiter. Oh no, Lurrus! My son, I cannot cast you! So I will just go for a Path to Exile when convenient. Deathrite Shaman is now going to eat my Arbiter. Alright, that is what it is. But this cool thing happens. So opponent only has Black Lotus mana available right now. So I can attempt to Path to Exile this Deathrite Shaman here, and it either like forces my opponent not to be able to search, or forces them to get rid of their Black Lotus. Either way, I am good with that situation. That's a good top deck. Not pleased about that. 3 green. Oh. Wow. Okay. That lets them get that forest back. That's good. Okay. All of a sudden, I'm wishing I had more Path to Exiles. You're a 3/1, you son of a... Ah! Honestly, it's funny. I have 5 uncastables in hand currently. And I think opponent's Ancestral really got them out of this spot. Yeah, I will be taking 6. I wonder if opponent was supposed to just play Misty Rainforest from graveyard, though, and mine their value out of their cards. Alright. There's a cat. I'll take 1 damage coming in. Like, if you hit me with an Endurance or something, like, you hit me with an Endurance, but I, not digging my position. I'm gonna take this hit, and I'm, like, hoping to get Lurrus in play, because, like, Lurrus recurring blockers is, like, good in this situation. Okay, yeah, there's the Misty from graveyard. I think opponent is trying to figure out how to work this whole double Arbiter situation. Oh no, it's worse than that. It's just another threat. Alright. I think I'm gonna toss in the towel. Like, it's turn 8, we never drew a white source other than the one in our opener. Like, I very much had the tools to win this game. Like, this Dread of Night is so beatable with these cards, but I never drew a second white. Such is the cost of the greedy mana base. GG's. Oh! Alright, I get another chance. Yeah, I don't think I'm messing with sideboarding at all here. This is an acceptable, fair hand. Really haven't been doing a good job of drawing the proper balance of creatures in, like, the way that I want. I'm hoping that a turn 2 Wasteland ends up being very good here, and I am going to go ahead and attempt to just get an active Mother of Runes, and we'll see if this is good enough. If my opponent just, like, fetches Basic Forest, again, it's kind of rough, or if my opponent has a turn 1 Dread of Night, like, I have 3 X1s. But scaling Luminarch Aspirant is very good. against like the Tarmogoyf and Leovold sized threats. Yeah, that's fine. Ooh, that's also very good. I don't think I use that here. Just wastelanding my opponent is too important. And I guess technically I do that first because of days. Although there's an argument to do it in the other order because of like force of will information. All right. I am going to want the Mother of Runes or if a Dread of Night were to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and put my counter there, keep that up. Lurrus is a Nightmare, is that correct? Cat Nightmare. Although we would put Cavern on Cat since we have overlapping cats in this deck. Well, that's good here. Not doing very good at catching a break. That's also very good, though. Probably still put this on Cat. Cat. Play a new Aspirant. Go to combat. We'll stack these counters on the Aspirant that can attack this turn. Although it's possible, like, taking a turn off from attacks to do a 1-1 split here is just better, so that both survive Dread of Night. Yeah, that might be better. I don't know, like, a lot of it depends on whether or not my opponent plays, like, a Leovold or Tarmogoyf-sized threat next turn. Their graveyard's pretty light. Maybe the split is better. I also kind of want to get a Cathar Commando in play and put one counter on it, that I can use it to answer Dread of Night. At this point, I'm going to check. Like, Black Lotus is in my deck, right? Like, yeah, okay, it is. It is. All right, Deathrite Shaman's doing its thing. All right, it is a Leovold. All right, then that'll be my turn. Nice. Okay, do I want to play around Dread of Night better? Or do I just want to work on getting my opponent dead? Like, it may just be that, like, this one Luminarch Aspirant plus Mother of Runes is just good enough. Like, if I think I'm pulling ahead, I just play pre-combat Cathar Commando, put a counter on it and Luminarch Aspirant, and pass the turn. I think I like that. Just gives me better long-term prospects. All right, there's a counter on this Luminarch Aspirant. There's a counter on Cathar Commando. Now both are protected. I don't need to take any attacks in this turn. Like, I am dominating the board. I don't have Hatebears, but I am going to be very easily bigger than most of the stuff that my opponent has going on. Yeah, very nice. The Spirit of the Labyrinth, sure. Do I want to put a counter on that? Yes. I think I do. And, like, all right, one counter there to protect that from a Dread of Night. And then I'm going to just continue to buff up this creature. It's a 4/4. I think I need any attacks. Really, I don't mind the Cathar Commando attack here. I don't think I care about Dread of Night anymore. I'll just keep the other ones out of combat for a little while. It's like, if I trade with Collector Oof here, this just unlocks my mana for Lurrus, and I'm not going to tap Mom here. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, just Lurrus into hand, and then I can recur that. For those of you who have ever wondered why I like Luminarch Aspirant, it's for board states like this, where there is a board stall. You just accumulate so much value and dominate combat. A new Collector Oof. That's fine. A Relic Order is kind of whatever here. Means I don't have to worry about recurring this. Alright. So, I think let's just stack these both up here. And I will swing in with this creature. I don't mind if it dies, because I'm just going to play a Lurrus and recur it. Yeah. Alright, opponent goes to 10. And I will play everyone's favorite uncounterable Nightmare Cat. Outside some sort of like combo win or Toxic Deluge type card, I think I'm just good here. I don't care about that. Okay. That might be good enough to get me to tap my Mother of Runes in some capacity. I can just pro green and kill that while still having a very dominant board. I really need to answer that because, like, the -5 is kind of a problem. All right. So let's go counters on this Monarch Aspirant, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead and give this pro green. This at Oko. And this at your face. I don't care about this thing actually dying because I just replay it with Lurrus. Do I need this extra mana? Yeah, the extra mana is kind of nice. Yep. I'm good with that. So now I will go ahead and replay a Luminarch Aspirant. This is Dread of Nightable now. I don't think I care about that. I'm going to go ahead and play this out. I'm going to target one of my own things here. I don't want to target that food and give my opponent a Leovold trigger. Just say no. Call it a turn. Yeah, absolutely. Opponent might be setting up like a dig through time type situation. 2, 3 mana. Toxic Deluge for X equals 6. Okay. Sure. That's a little scary. A punish for playing so conservatively on my end. Also punish for not going up to 8 counters on the one Luminarch Aspirant. That would have cost my opponent 2 more life. Like now I'm in the situation where something like a Tarmogoyf can be scary. Alright. Kataki's War's Wage is probably more awkward for me than my opponent, but whatever. It kills a food. I'm going to lose to my opponent playing an Oko. Or a Tarmogoyf. Treasure Cruise. Yeah, I mean, I expected a decent number of cantrips to be stuck in my opponent's hand, because I stuck a Spirit of Labyrinth for a long time. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have played around Dread of Night, and I should have just, like, stacked up a creature to play around Toxic Deluge. Like, I very easily could have beaten a Toxic Deluge, given the number of counters that I put on things. A Relic Order is whatever. Like, it's a 2-2 at this point. Like, I'm just looking to present multiple lethal threats next turn. See if my opponent has, like, a Fatal Push here. For sure, an Assassin's Trophy, yeah. I'll grab Plains, and I am straight up just playing a 2-2 cat. Again, I'll target one of my own things and just say no to it. Okay, Ramunap Excavator is very good. Alright, opponent not willing to play fetch land from graveyard there. But, like, it's just good that this blocks a bunch of my X1 creatures. That's insane. That's so much life gain. 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. I mean, yeah, like, I'm going in. And we will go ahead and nuke the Ramunap Excavator. My current issue being that my opponent's Deathrite Shaman life gain offsets everything that I'm doing with this, and then any Tarmogoyf or Oko style card that they play starts pulling them ahead. Oh, that's a Gitaxian Probe, paying mana. Here's my hand. It's a little broken right now. Alright. That's bad. As like Luminarch Aspirant as a scaling threat just got turned off. I will Wasteland and try to probably lock up my opponent's green sources a little more. Like, one of them is dedicated towards Deathrite Shaman eating each turn. Yeah. We'll make it so that they have to make a choice between playing cards like Oko and Tarmogoyf and activating Deathrite Shaman. But this is very much in, like, not good for me territory. I have so many X1s, I have so many dead draws now. Alright, opponent just passing the turn. I mean, like, I'm going to cast it. It feels like opponent probably has counter magic. Right, like they have some number of things that they're not playing. Alright. Oh, wow, they are going for the life loss there. Which is worrying. Back for 1. Opponent goes to 4. They're going for the life loss. I'm just, like, worried about something like Oko. Okay. That's good. That gets rid of this Dread of Night and means my attack is larger. Goodbye. Yes. Attempt an attack for 2. See if we walk into something like Endurance again. No. Got so punished for trying to get my 1 more point of damage in, which I think was correct to do. But there's a world where my opponent just Abrupt Decays this land Relic Order, and then I get rid of that if I do it the other way. Spirit of the Labyrinth. Not currently a good card. Almost a good card. Stop it. Opposition Agent. Absolutely. I'm going to lose this creature in combat, and then I can't play Spirit of the Labyrinth. Yeah, life's bad. Yep, an opponent is comfortable enough to be going on the offensive. Like... Fuck! Alright. I'm F6. Do your worst. This is, brutal. I'll go down to 12. Do I actually even just have anything that lives through this shit? I have literally nothing that lives through this. I can like play to drawing one of my 2 remaining relic warders, but I think I'm just gonna concede here. Like this game's over. GG's. Okay. We're looking at a hand that has to be a mulligan here. Again, we're frequently going to have to mulligan hands that don't quite work out in terms of mana. This hand is good. So this is going to have probably turn 1 Arbiter, turn 2 Kataki Mom. I think means I throw back Cathar Commando in a vacuum. It's possible I'm supposed to keep Cathar Commando over Kataki, because like taxing my own Mox Ruby is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. No! Don't want my opponent to see what's coming. Taxing Probe's so good. See where this is going. Feels like it's going to Lightning Bolt Town. I really don't want this Arbiter to just get bolted. Let's go Plains, Ruby. I think we're on Coward strats here. I'm going to play Mother Runes so that Arbiter doesn't get Lightning Bolted. That's worse than a Lightning Bolt. I don't know. Maybe I'm not supposed to play Scared there. Like, playing Scared makes my game significantly worse and means that I can't double spell on turn 2. Like, that's a thing. Okay. I've got a Path to Exile for one of those tokens, and I can theoretically Arbiter to shut off the Urza Saga search ability. I also do just have a Kataki. Like, that's a thing as well. Nice, opponent had to Soul Guide one of their own cards in graveyard because I did not have literally any. Definitely good with that. Definitely want to just get this card into play. Or attempt, rather. At this point, I think I'm just gonna take some chip damage. It exposes Mom to Lightning Bolt, but if Mom gets Lightning Bolted, then my opponent is not making an Urza Saga Construct token in most cases, which I think is a win for me. Becomes more awkward if my opponent has a Mox as well. Okay. Ooh. I like that. So let's go ahead and main phase Wasteland the Urza Saga. Yeah, they'll make their token. That's fine. We'll go ahead and play a Kataki. And at some point, I will Path to Exile this token, but I definitely want my opponent to at least pay for it first. Alright, so they're going to crack their Soul Guide Lantern, making this token non-threatening. Yield to that. They will pay for it. I'm not sure if I Path to Exile that. Like, there's probably going to be more threatening things in my opponent's deck list that I might want to remove. Okay. I think I Path to Exile it here, though. Because I probably want to just put Lurrus into my hand. Ooh. Sure. So we're probably playing against, like, a Breach deck. Yeah, there's another Brain Freeze. Now let's get this out of the way. Ooh, my opponent only has 1 basic island. That means Ghost Quarter is live as just a thing that's annoying. I'll prevent that. Cathar Commando. Interesting. I don't know that that's better than putting Lurrus into hand. I'm always playing Plains. I think I'm turning my creatures sideways. And it's just a question of, like, do I want to destroy that Mana Crypt? And if so, when do I want to destroy it? Puts my opponent to 12. I think I do. I think I cast it now, and then, like, let these triggers resolve in my opponent's upkeep. Well, let's see the damage one first. They won the flip. Now I'll see if they want to pay for it. They do, at which point I will blow it up with Cathar Commando. And then we'll see where my opponent goes from here. That's not good. So this is going to be a little boring. I'm going to kind of narrate what's happening here. So my opponent is going to play and replay Lotus Petal so that they can then Brain Freeze themselves. They are hoping to ultimately hit their Black Lotus so that they can just kind of continue this loop of Black Lotus and Brain Freeze, and then they are ultimately going to Brain Freeze me. I don't think it is currently deterministic with just Lotus Petal and Brain Freeze and at this number of cards, believe it kills me once a Lotus gets involved, though. I don't know the vintage versions of these loops well enough to know for sure. A Lilia, the Blade. Ooh, that's spicy. I also don't really want to immediately concede because I want to see what's in my opponent's deck list if I'm being real here, because, like, Lilia is not a card that I would have expected in a million years. I imagine this is another Brain Freeze targeting them. It is. Alright, so that Brain Freeze has now resolved. They also have Tinker Bolas's Citadel in their deck list, so that's good to know about. Doesn't look like they have too much removal. They've got a Lightning Bolt and an Abrade. At the point where they have Black Lotus, I believe this is now just deterministic. But I'm not going to concede in case I'm wrong. I will concede in response to, like, a giant Brain Freeze targeting me. Okay. So this is 8. How many cards? It's 3 cards for this. You can just do this 3 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 27. They do it again, and that's fine. Okay, I will go ahead and concede to that. That's fine. Really wanted to get game 1 versus this deck, though. I have a lot of sideboard cards that I can bring in for this matchup. Ravenous Trap might be too situational. It's neat. Or sorry, do I want Archive Trap for any reason? No, probably not. Would love Mind Break Trap, though. So, there are Urza Saga tokens, but I don't think, generally speaking, I want Path to Exile. I am good with a lot of my artifact stuff. The Kataki probably being the worst of them. I probably need to play this. Aspirant's not super necessary. Some of the artifact stuff's a little rough. It gets weird if I want to board in all of these cards. Maybe I don't. Like, I can cut an Aspirant, end up with a bunch of somewhat mediocre artifact hate cards, an okay ability to answer Breach, or I can bring these in. Like, it's free interaction that supplements my Hatebears, but it becomes awkward if I have a Thalia in play, and I think sometimes this isn't necessarily going to be good enough. I don't know, like, maybe the Aspirants aren't a big deal, and maybe I can cut one Relic Warder, because, like, it doesn't answer Breach. It does answer the Tinker targets, though. Yeah, actually, I think I should have subbed out a Kataki instead. Yeah, I like this hand. Alright, so let's lead on Moxjet. They have Plains, and Slam a Cat. I have 2 pieces of free interaction. With this hand, I don't think I have enough pressure where I just mental misstep, like a Brainstorm, Ponder, Preordain, that sort of thing. I think I saved this for a little while. Yeah, that's pretty good. Probably blow that up in my opponent's upkeep with Cathar Commando. Ooh, Ghost Quarter really good too. I think I just take my I actually do probably play this. Alright, there's my attack for 2. Putting my opponent to 18. I'll pass the turn. Like, this has flash. And we can maybe get cute after this mana grip trigger. They won the flip. I think I'm going to try to kill this. And it may prompt a response that taps my opponent's mana. I don't know. If I target this, they just pay the effect for Leonin Arbiter this turn. But I don't think I can just let them have that main phase mana. That's awkward. Or that's fine. So I can choose to exile their graveyard at any time via Ravenous Trap here. If they have a nice cute Breach line, the trap will do things here. Mental misstep, absolutely. Absolutely protecting my cat child. Ooh. Alright, your Force of Will resolves. I think I saved my Rav Trap. Nice. Will just be Wasteland, blow up one of these, and throw my Lurrus to hand for the future. I do conveniently have a Mox Jet. Okay, there's a Delta Fetching. That's 1 card in graveyard. Grabbing Volk. That is a Breach. So they can play Mana Crypt. Okay. The Gataxian Probe is the 2nd card put into their graveyard here. Like, this isn't free yet, but it will be free after 1 more card. Okay, Mana Crypt is fine. There is another Gataxian Probe. At this point, 3 cards have gone to the graveyard, so my Ravenous Scrap is free. But if we're just done, I am fine with that being the end of turn. But I draw Mom's kind of whatever. Attempt Lurrus, attempt Mom, and then next turn I can start bringing back this stuff, which will be quite good. A little bit afraid of just, like, Tinker here. And they lost the flip. Good. Thanks to the Steel Wind is already in exile as well, so, like, that's nice for me. That was a quick shuffle with the Ponder. That's pretty good. But opponent just concedes, because I've just got, like, Cathar Commando, blow that up, like, as a land destruction thing. I also just have on board Ghost Quarter if I want to play Leon Arbor and that. I can consider playing Containment Priest to shut off Tinker for the Sphinx specifically. But, like, if they cast that Tinker, they still get Bolas's Citadel, so there's that. Bolas's Citadel is just beatable some portion of the time. I think I'm going to go down Kataki's, play another Relic Warder to get better at exiling Urza Saga. And then, I don't know, I might play one of these cards over Kataki. Kataki's okay. Aspirant's okay. Containment Priest is okay. On our insane. I'm going to get just slightly better at scaling up threats here. Getting some of this stuff out of range of Lightning Bolt or a Braid is kind of cool. This is a mediocre 7-card hand. That is probably good enough to keep. Like, this is a very relevant card early in the game. The Wasteland is good. The Mom is whatever. The Lurrus will be uncounterable. Hands heavily improved by Moxen and heavily improved by any Hatebear. This is the one thing that I did not want to see. I did not want to see my opponent fetching a turn 1 basic, because I was really hoping to turn 1 wasteland them and kind of set back the fact that I have a heavy hand, or a mana heavy hand. My opponent just got Force. I can play uncounterable Mom into uncounterable Thalia, or I can have uncounterable Arbiter and later uncounterable Lurrus. I'm kind of scared. I think I need the Thalia on turn 2, so I'm going to switch plans and pivot to this going on human. And we'll hopefully mess with my opponent's Force of Will and make it easier for me to do cool things with Arbiter. Dackvaden's kind of whatever. Alright, chunking a Needle and a Flusterstorm. Here, the Labyrinth is interesting with Dackvaden in play. Kind of good, kind of bad. Probably closer to bad here. I think this is going to be a Thalia this turn. Is uncounterable, and I think I just hold back my Mom here rather than poke Dackvaden. Let's see how bad this turn gets for me. Opponent's doing a good job of filtering. They just got rid of some junk that is, like, very much not good at this stage in the game. Oh, Time Walk is scary. There's a lot of looting value. See how bad this ends up being. Another set of loots. Alright, the Force of Will is going away, which is kind of scary. Because that just probably means my opponent has, like, the combo pieces necessary to just go off right now. Pyroclasm. Keep Thalia? Question mark? Think so. Doesn't matter. Have a second removal spell. Yeah, okay. Okay. So that Urza Saga is really good, but it's about to get wastelanded, so I think that's fine. Actually, I can Ghost Quarter it if Arbiter resolves here. I think I like that. It did resolve. So let's just go ahead and attempt this. And then next turn can be Wasteland and Spirit of the Labyrinth. Oh no. Mystical Tutor. Oh my god, they didn't pay for Arbiter. We take those, folks. We take those. Ooh, that is a Lilia. What is the exact verbiage here? When it attacks, you may exile the top card of your library. Whenever one or more cards are put into exile from your library and or graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Sure. No blocks there. I can maybe kill that with a Ganjo. Like, it's definitely a maybe because things can happen that cause that creature to get very big very quickly. I also do have to technically worry about this. Ultimate? It's a thing. Fox is interesting. Requires so much mana to hold up, it's sort of unfortunate. I also can't take my opponent off of red. I can take them off of black with Wasteland. Also not sure if I want to play out the Mox. Can't really use the mana this turn, so it's probably fine not to. Let's give Dak Faden a little love tap. Drop him back down to 5 loyalty. And then we can hopefully channel that and kill it. That does not always work. I'm terrified of this looting ability, but I also just think I lose to this card if I let it kind of stay in place. Alright. So, let's attempt this and see if it works. Okay. One problem solved. Opponent found an Urza Saga, which I do have the Wasteland for. Which is nice. This is like why I didn't Wasteland. Oh, fuck. They actually don't have it yet. This is probably a value breach. Oh, just a time walk. Well, air quotes, just a time walk, right? You know? That time walk with that Urza Saga is very strong. Alright, and they're going to ponder. I wonder if they were supposed to just ponder first, because it's easier for them to go off with certain looks, and then they can like cast the time walk later if they do start going off. I don't know their deck well enough to know for sure, but it just kind of feels like the ponder coming first would have been fine. Kataki Probe is a good get there. Yeah, this is one of those times where like I played to beat the THALIA, and then by not playing Spirit of the Labyrinth, I made myself worse versus the combo. All right, there's yet another Gataxian Probe, and I assume we're doing it again. Yeah, here it is. Opponent's back up to 4 cards in hand. They can do it one more time if they would like. No, if they would like. They do want to leave some graveyard stuff in there. And now I have to worry about a decently sized Urza Saga Construct token, in addition to just other combo-y stuff. Okay, they are abrading my Leonin Arbiter, and they've tapped Urza Saga, which is really weird to me. Oh, they're just going to combo off again. They just get another time walk. Oh, okay. They get Demonic Tutor. They Demonic Tutor for Lotus. And they are going to attempt to go off. 3 blue mana. I think they were just gonna, like, replay Lotus. Or, sorry. Okay, they had Mox Jet. Yeah, so they Demonic Tutor for Brain Freeze, and then at that point, it should be deterministic. So I'm going to go ahead and concede here. GG's. That means we are at an 0-4 drop league here, folks, unfortunately. Overall thoughts on the deck list. It used to be true that these Hatebear decks were pretty darn good at beating the blue decks and then relatively bad versus shops. And I think we played against 4 blue decks. I kind of took a break in between recordings, so I don't remember for sure. But I think we just played against 4 fair blue decks, and I think we lost to all of them. And that is not a good sign for this deck's viability. I like some things about this deck list. But generally speaking, you're a little rough in terms of white sources. You're cheating on that a little bit. I didn't particularly feel like the suite of cards that I had here was strong enough. There's a lot of combinations of draws that you can have where you just like have like Cathar Commando, Relic Warder, some mana, maybe an Arbiter versus a blue opponent who went first, who's not playing artifacts, and then your deck doesn't do a ton. I don't feel too great about this exact configuration. Like, this was fun to play. Like, we had a bunch of real matches. I will also say I think we didn't draw a lot of truly high power hands. It's possible I needed to be mulliganing even more aggressively than I was, but it may be that like this deck is just built for the wrong metagame. So, like, for example, this version hedges very heavily versus artifacts, and so when you get paired against like the Tarmogoyfs and such, it feels a little bit worse. Maybe, you know, this means like, hey, maybe the Lurrus isn't correct, and I should instead be playing the 3-drops to open up things like Sanctum Prelate and Archon of Emeria that are otherwise pretty strong. Did run into some awkwardness with casting cards, but we also ran into like Fire Spout and Dread of Night, so like, I don't know what's up with that, but it was not good for me. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed watching me get bullied. If you did, please click a like button on the way out, and have a great rest of the day. See ya!